So let's begin. Why, hello there. Welcome to another installment of This Week in Astro. I really do hope each one of you has had a great week, and it's been yet another exciting week in the Astrodome. And now we're coming towards the end of summer and into the start of fall. And we start each of our weekly episodes. We take a look over the Astro website. You can visit it at astro.build. And you've also got to check out the Astro Showcase, where there's over 50 odd sites, all built and powered by Astro, and it's a great place for you to get Astro inspired, basically. You know, see what you can do, what you can't do, and all the different use cases that you can put to Astro. You could get it on there as well. More on that in a wee second. We've got the Astro Userland integrations along with our own that can be found here, along with our all our integrations page. Now we've had hundreds of amazing integrations with Astro, and you can find pretty much most of them on the integrations page here. If you want to get your own theme or your integration added, or even add to your website to the showcase, right? Simply just go into the astro.build Git repo. The address is on the screen there, and just pop in a wee PR or a wee issue, right, and just get your stuff submitted. And that's a good way to get your stuff out there, guys, into the community as well. That and the showcase channel. And as always, you could always keep up to date with the GitHub repo, right, just by going to GitHub with Astro and keep up to date with all the important goings on within the project. Now, let's start off this week's call, right, with this week's episode with a look over the news and a recap over the community news. Now, the community call happens every Tuesday within the Discord channel, and it's led by Nate. Now, this was the agenda of the call. I wouldn't want to go into it for the first time in a long time, simply and only because we're now keeping recordings of these, and these go out live pretty much on the day after the community call. You get this on YouTube on the Astro channel. There's a number of stuff coming out there, like This Week in Astro. With this episode, you'll be able to get that on the Astro channel as well. So that's another way for you guys to keep in touch. If you can't make it to the next meeting, that is. And now the next meeting's on Tuesday, like I said, 7 p.m. GMT time, guys. And you'll get that in the Astro Discord channel, right? And it's where we get together every week, discussing open issues that are pertaining to Astro, any RFCs, plan discussions about the roadmap, keeping us all abreast of the changes and what's happening with core and team dev and the project wider a whole. And it's there for all of you to join in and get in amongst the conversation about Astro post V1, what the journey looks like, right? As always, you can get in touch with these conversations and get going with them with just by popping into the RFC chat repo and just heading over to the discussions channel. We're now taking a look over the pulse over the Astro repo itself, and this is a part of the episode where we just take a look and see how things have been over the past week. Now, for the last week in September, the core team has been working on reducing the number of open PRs and issues and getting them down massively. This comes off the back of a very busy cycle where they've had a number of successful gains, and the pulse for this week reflects their strong performance. 50 out of 58 open PRs were closed this week, and that alone is phenomenal. Along with 28 out of 41 issues that were raised this week were being able to be resolved. All in all, 35 contributors across 193 branches. The contributions kept on coming, and with every commit, with every new branch, Astro keeps getting better. As a result, there's a couple of releases to tell you guys about. What's made its way now at the end of the week is we're finishing it on version 1.3, Astro's third minor release since the V1 launch. Astro has now settled into a very good cadence with its release cycle, and with this release there has been a number of key improvements and additions that has came with it. Just to tell you a couple, right, to keep you aware of, Set HTML has been given an upgrade. In response to Pascal got a great habit of discovering several oddities, especially when he had a PR, right? The labeled oddities rendering out of readable streams. It was epic. Set HTML now allows responses to be passed in directly into the actual Set HTML function. This expands the ability of Set HTML to better understand this ultimate use case in a sense. Here we're sending fetched HTML as a response into the set HTML placeholder there. This means what we could, for instance, is that we could take a legacy page or an application or a post or a site that has been statically generated into HTML and consume that directly within your Astro templates. As always with the case with set HTML, this should only be used on trusted content. In order to make this possible, Matt has managed to make some other cool JavaScript features available to use within set HTML. One of the new things it can do is render out full response objects. Since this is in effect what a fetch a fetch method returns as a response object, you could actually put in a new response object as you're seeing here, define the headers, put in the response body. Yeah, this is just one of the many little tricks that we got going, right? Along with rendering out the response object, you now have the ability to render out readable streams as well, right? Which is fantastic because, HTML streaming. And then to take it one level further, you can now throw in some async generator functions to iterate through a list of data and have it yield incrementally the results out, which is utterly mind-blowing, right? Or you can make it a non-async generator. Is entirely up to you guys, right? There's as you can see, there's now 5 distinct and unique new ways of using set HTML that can be added to make our templates fully streamable and have it render out HTML in increments on the server, especially in SSR mode, right? Not only does that improve the ability for legacy and also and support for bringing in older sites, older HTML, and being able to output that into Astro. This is fantastic. I love this, right? The next one that we're going to be taking a look over is a new build hook from Tony, right? Now, this hook runs after your site builds or your static site is generated, right? The build finishes, but before the build artifacts are cleaned up, this is a very special hook that just ties into that particular moment in time, right? There is a very specific use case for this, and 9 times out of 10, the Astro build done hook is what you're probably looking for, right? As I said, that is what's produced with the artifacts and everything is cleaned up, right? And you're produced with your final set of assets. Whereas this just ties in right before that. Why this hook, you're asking? Well, it handles a very specific use case for Astro's image tool. There's a new WASM based image service that's coming out soon, which uses a worker pool to build multiple images in parallel. The workers need to reference the main build's entry point in the bundle before it can be removed by the cleanup process, and that's what this hook does, right? And more information can be found about this on the actual integrations API page on the doc site. So by all means, guys, if you want to find out more information about the Astro integrations API, you can find out all about it on the actual integrations API page. And we're going to take a wee look over next the number of core contributions that were made to this week's set of releases around the Astro core base. So we begin with a very complicated title for a PR, right? But what this basically does is a really good fix from Agri. This made it directly into the 1.3 release that we just went over, and it is really cool. It fixes support for Astro Islands to handle Unit 8 arrays, Unit 16 arrays, and Unit 32 arrays. It's like set buffer arrays. Whereas previous attempts to handle this in a sort of imprecise way was causing the results of the types to end up getting lost. I really did like this particular PR, right? And the way that he put the testing in, and also how he accommodated the new set of tests that was written to him by Nate. Really agree. This was a great PR to take a look over. Great work there, my friend. Thank you very much for this. A really good, amazing contribution. Next up, we have Daniel. Daniel adjusted, put in a PR, right, to help adjust the ES build config to work with solid in server mode and SSR mode, especially within a worker environment. As a result, making a major change to the actual Astro.js Cloudflare integration. So for those who are using the Astro Cloudflare integration, do make sure that yours are all up to date and up to speed. This is amazing. Daniel, thank you very much, my friend. Right, really do appreciate that one. And then next up, we have quite a number of PRs that have came through, especially on the Astro image tool, right, over the last couple of weeks from Usama, sorry. Following up on his previous PR, number 4642, he made changes to make sure that the image integration kept its transparency unless the output format does not support the alpha channel. He also made it so that the image integrations now allows RGBA color definitions to be used within the transparency setting when it comes to using the resize operators that were put in the previous PRs. This can be handled now without having any TypeScript errors. Really do appreciate your good work as a really good contributor to the Astroverse. Really do appreciate it, mate. Keep up the good work. And then next up, we got a contribution from Christopher, right? Christopher K. That's his GitHub name. But yeah, notice an undeclared dependency that was being used within the Astro Markdown remark integration. And so the hast UTL to HTML dependency is now an actual dependency of this integration, whereas this one did catch us, did slip underneath the radar. And so thank you very much for catching that one for us, dude. Really appreciate it. And then we have Fico IntelliForm, who's just a good friend of the community. What he did with his PR was replace hard-coded minified values with the Vite build minify, so that way users can then override the minification directly from within the Astro config. Just note, however, for server-side JavaScript, we're currently leaving it so that is unminified output file. This is far easier for debugging and because minification is not really necessary for server-side code. It is for client-side code, but really the way Astro set up its SSR output, it wouldn't really be doing you any justice there, right? But much appreciated, Fico, for putting this out here. I know a number of people have been minifying using packages like the Astro Critters package, the Astro Compress package to do the minification within them. And I know Nikolov will really do appreciate this one for you, right? So yeah, Luca made a PR that removed the explicit headers, in particular the transfer encoding header. In this very well written PR, Luca reports that the header is not actually necessary and is ignored essentially by all HTTP servers when provided explicitly by the user. This is because the HTTP transport layer handles the header automatically as when needed. So there is some variations within the transport layer, such as HTTP2, where this is enabled by default. For instance, within Deno, Netlify, Cloudflare workers, and having no notion of what the transfer encoding is, because all the responses from these aforementioned platforms are streamed. So, Luca, thank you very much for that PR, mate. I really did enjoy that one, right? And then next up, we have our good friend Mohammed, right? He's basically came in, right, just to help fix a wee issue, right? And he does this a number of times, right? Helps fix a wee issue where there's where he found an extra slash being added to the integrations that were ending with an Astro directory. This bug fixes it so that to indent function, which is used by Astro add, doesn't add that extra forward slash, right? So it doesn't bork directories and where you're pointing things. And then we're on to now I've had a number of favourite PRs, and this is definitely included in one of them. Dio provided support for the Create Astro Wizard, and what he did was pretty brilliant, right? Is now able to deploy within non-empty folders or clone git folders or stuff that's got a hidden directory in there, right? Normally you had to spin up Astro and Astro would just create a directory for you because that way it was clean and empty. It was a real developer pain point. So what Dio did was having researched how other CLI tools handled the situation and found various other solutions for this instance, he settled on he goes into a wee bit of detail, right? And I wanted to share this with you. So what Create React app does, for instance, as a CLI tool, is maintains a list of directories that should be safely ignored. And when you're checking, for instance, for an empty directory, so Create Next app does something very similar to the Create React app, but uses a slightly different list of files, which is add support for likes of Yarn, certain versions of different package managers. Vite, however, only ignores .git directories and considers them to be empty directories. So, given his, the research and the way he put this PR together, it adds support for this feature by using the same approach as the Create React, Create Next, by adding a list of the file directories, the names, or patterns that can be safely ignored when checking for a valid project directory. So no more having to create empty directories to spin up Astro into. And honestly, this here is just fantastic, dude. So thank you very much for that deal. I really do appreciate that, mate. Um, Now, like I said, more than one favorite PR this week from the community. And for me to order to explain this particular PR from Yuhang, let's go into a wee bit deeper, right? Now, there was a wee problem that was affecting the reactive set of astronauts in the community, right? Now, you've probably seen this problem over the past couple of weeks in Astro, and that's if you are using React. The following code is not being parsed properly the following code was not being parsed properly when you were using React, and you're having to change the way you wrote, the way you expressed your functional React components. Now, this is not ideal for anybody, right? The top one wouldn't work, the bottom one will work, and that's because what we're doing is having to call it a default function. It's a named function. It was nauseating at the best of times, to say the least. And then it will lead to this very neurotic error stating that a hook call was invalid. Yuhang made an update to a file within the actual Vite plugin, the JSX plugin, increasing its understanding of what exports were, its list of exports, for instance, the named exports, the variable exports, the default exports, all the other methods of expressing functional components in JSX. So great work, Yuhang. Thank you very much, my friend. And to absolutely everybody who's managed to get their releases out and their PRs merged this week. Honestly, guys, yous all rock. Thank you very much. Absolutely amazing work. Like, as you can tell, those contributions were amazing, each and every one of them. And now we're going to take a quick gander over to the docs repo, like genuinely a quick gander, right? Because these guys have been really heads down this week. But nonetheless, let's take a look over this, right? They've managed to get, between 18 authors, they managed to get 110 commits on all branches. 35 out of 38 PRs were closed, along with 8 out of 13 issues. Absolutely crushing it. It is the small stuff like this. For instance, this is something new that's been added to the docs, right? And it explains a feature that a lot of people have been asking, especially new users coming to Astro, is how do we use astro.glob outside of an Astro file? Well, in Vite, you can use all of Vite's superpowers. I mean, Vite has a lot of hidden superpowers, especially with the import.meta attribute. Now, this import.meta.glob, as you're seeing on the screen, right, allows you to glob files around your project, anywhere in your project, similar to the way that astro.glob works. And it basically returns it in a very similar way. The only downside is, guys, is that you can't pass in dynamic literals or template literals or dynamic properties into the actual path for the glob. These have to be static. What to do is glob big, filter out, right? That's how you use the globs. You glob what you grab what you can and you filter out what you need, right? And that's the general rule of thumb. But I really do like this. I mean, this is just one of the many PRs that were added this week. And another one was this one from the Fetch, how to fetch headless CMSs. I know Kevin's working on trying to get CMS guides put together for us astronauts. And this is another example that is on the same page that I want to bring to your attention is the relationship between Astro, WordPress, and GraphQL, all within the same page, all within a fetch request. It is as simple as you can make it without life becoming overly complicated. I mean, just take a look at that, guys. With that, you can request data from your WordPress headless CMS, get it, filter it, stick it into your template, Bob's your uncle, you're away. Now, there's one last bit that I would like to mention, and it's something that I've also seen users mention more and more, especially with the onset of everyone and a lot of new astronauts creating a lot of cool templates. You could utilize these templates, guys, very easily with your Create Astro Wizard. This has been a feature that has been within the wizard since time immemorial. Now, regardless of what your preferred package manager is, all you do is just hit create astro dash dash template. Then you're specifying the git user / the location of the git template. So whichever repo that you want to pick it up on, right? And this is a great way of utilizing your own Astro templates. Get up and go, right? As life is that simple. Now we are going to take a wee trip into outer space and visit the ISS where the international team hang out. And now we're added more languages, right? And I really need to update that, right? Um, but in an effort to completely, it's like a continuous effort. It's a the docs is a living set. It continuously grows, and because the docs are continuously being added to, there's numbers of pages that continuously need to be updated. So translating the docs into other languages is an undertaking, and it's one that we truly appreciate here within the Astroverse, right? But it's all off the back of you guys, and it really is a call to action. We're now have the ability to translate pretty much right to left, left to right, upside down, inside out, you name it. If your language does it, we can take it. And this is just the to-do list. So if you're native to any one of these languages, by all means, guys, pop along into the docs repo, hit the issues, and you'll see it right at the top. What pages need what and where. It's fantastic. And you could probably see there's a big 0 on that screen there. And I want to give a big shout out to the Espanol docs. Gracias, amigos. You guys have done fantastic. Like, absolutely smashed life. This went off the hook. Like, it was insane. And I just wanted to say this was the ability to connect to the entire Spanish, Latin speaking world is a huge bonus, right? Now we're on to the language tools, right? And we're going to take a trip over to see what Erica and how she's been controlling the Matrix in order to give us the fantastic developer experience that we love. And it's honestly, it's really getting better. And on the note for saying it's getting better, we've got better references. We've got the ability to go most places in and around our Astro project, right? So going to references, implementations, file references, better completions for slots, attributes. Actually, this is a big one, right? See the completions for the slot attribute on components is huge, right? Added syntax highlighting for HTML events. Type definitions now work properly. Fragment completions now show properly, show the client directives properly. It's the small things, but they all add up. I mean, what Erica is the master of it is the 1%. Increasing the developer experience by 1% always, and it becomes leaps and bounds. Fantastic work that she's doing over there. And if you guys ever want to give it a hand, right, and honestly, pop along over to the language tools and help out. And in saying that, the Prettier plugin is probably the most widely downloaded plugins for Astro, along with the language tools. And you can help Anthony and Erica by checking out the repo and contributing to this by all means, right? I have to say, see the prettier support in Astro is fantastic. It was a year ago, or just over a year ago, right, where we were contemplating as a project if such a thing was possible. Now we've got fantastic prettier support. And we're over to the support squad. Now, the support squad has been thoroughly enjoying life with the new support forums. As a result, it's choosing the heroes. There's more and more people coming in to help, which is fantastic. The crack team of astronauts that we've got in the support squad has been doing wonders. But I mean, for instance, Bryceguy here, he is just consistently capable of providing quality support to anybody that asks for it, right? And then we've got Noktasizi. Now, the reason why I bring up Noktasizi and amithgeorge, right, or these two guys on the left here in the center, is because recently I've noticed that they've been going over above the beyonds in the level of support that they've been giving folk in around the new look support forums. It has thoroughly been enjoyable just to hear their opinions and the way, their development skills and the ability for them to explain them. I mean, for instance, Georgie Boy has been killing it. Noktasizi has got a very good way of delivery. And I just had to give them a special shout out. So that's why but to absolutely everybody that's contributed to help others in the support squad, along with the heroes, amithgeorge, Noktasizi, and Brycey, you're all legends. Thank you very much. Coming to the community showcase. Now, we're almost to the tail end of this, right? The community showcase is now its own event. It happens every Friday. The community showcase is now up on YouTube for you guys to consume it at your own leisure. And now we're just going to have just a couple of streams for it that I strongly recommend you guys to catch up on, right? We're first off going over to take a wee look over this one. This was a fantastic stream between Ben and Jeff Everhart. This was a stream where basically Jeff works over at WordPress Engine. He's a developer advocate over at WordPress Engine, and he had a fantastic demonstration set up for Ben and for us viewers, right, to show how easy, literally easy it is for you to get WordPress over to Astro. Like I showed you a couple of slides ago, right? How simple it is just to make a fetch request to a WordPress backend and then pop the data into your template layer. This is a great video for that. You could actually, if you want to find out a wee bit more how to do it, I highly recommend watching this video between Jeff and Ben. Fantastic work, and thank you, Jeff, for putting that together for us. Great to have him and Fran in amongst the community. And I was really surprised when I seen this, right? I mean, 40% of the internet is powered by WordPress, so let's not knock it, guys. Let's embrace it. Let's be happy that WordPress works so seamlessly with Astro. Now, this has been my series of Twitch so far. We're now on to episode 5, where we're watching Selma, or the White Panther, right? Basically go about building this application in Astro that helps you, the user, choose which framework you want to use. So what the framework is all about, a tool to help you build your next project. It is fantastic, really encourageable. If you're up and you can make it, by all means do follow Selma. She is a fantastic developer advocate, strong in terms of supporting projects in amongst the ecosystem, and great content. She always puts out quality content, funny and hilarious, thoroughly enjoyable and entertaining. And then we've got Luke. Now, Luke has his own channel, Coding with Luke, over at Twitch, and this is actually increasing in popularity. There's Luke is actually really strong in terms of a coding streamer, really strong developer as well, and a good friend to Astro. does a number of streams where he's basically, this stream here is working on applying sexy JavaScript animations to his site. Highly recommend you guys checking this one out. And ladies and gentlemen, on that note, that's all I have for you for this week in Astro. As always, I hope you all have a great week ahead of you. Whatever you do it with a smile on your face, and you absolutely crush it. And on that note, peace and love, folks. Peace and love.